The inability to say no is a complete and utter disease of your mind. And if you're just constantly pulled in all these different directions, responding to this request, responding to this errand, responding to this favor, responding to this opinion about your vision and your goals, and then changing it and having inner resentment towards that, people are setting up shop in your head by you saying yes to everything. And if you're unable to say no, you definitely won't accomplish your dreams. And that is the first thing that's going to happen. Your vision gets degraded. You're unable to accomplish your goals within that vision. And it's just basically the death of your dreams. The second thing that begins to happen is you begin to get entangled in a spider's web of saying yes to so many things that your energy and focus gets spread out. You get shiny object syndrome. You constantly feel FOMO, fear of missing out. You feel guilty to say no, guilty to set up a boundary. And you're spread so thin. You're so paper thin. And this leaves you in a state of not having accomplished what you set out to accomplish. Chapter 1 is about how when value is clear, the decisions you make will be easy. When your vision is clear, it becomes very easy to say no to the unessential. And the unessential is what clutters our mind. It clutters our results. It clutters the process towards results because we're not moving in a straight line. We're moving all over the place to get from A to B. And when you have a result in your mind, you need to pick the simplest way to that result. Don't overcomplicate the process by adding more knowledge, more people, more skills, more, when it's not actually moving the ball forward to the exact results that you want. Really, winning is a simplification process. You need to simplify your life, make your life simple and monk-like. Eliminate the unessential. And there's a lot of things that clutter our life up, especially when it comes to the power of saying no. A tsunami of people's advice and their minds bombarding your own mind. Think about the tsunami, all the people that have given you their opinions on what you should or should not be doing. They're finger wagging at you, maybe shaming you because of the path that you're on, or maybe giving unsolicited advice. And how does this make you feel? Maybe you feel shame about the path that you're on, the vision that you have, the goals that you have. You feel guilty about the path that you're on, the vision that you have, the goals that you have. And what state of mind does this leave you in? Well, if you continue down the path that you're in, well, then they're giving you advice, opinions, things they think you should be doing. You might feel FOMO, fear of missing out. Or if you take their advice and you go down an authentic path, then you feel deep-rooted resentment, but you feel like you can't say no to those individuals, leaving you in a state of disarray, feeling really foggy, increasingly more foggy about what your vision is and your path is because you're listening to opinions, unsolicited advice, and other people finger wagging at you. And you're listening to this, getting increasingly more foggy about your vision, increasingly less and less self-belief towards your vision. And this leaves you in a downward spiral. Here's the thing. It always sits in your brain because it's no different than you think you have a craving for sugar, or you think you have a craving for cheese, or you think you have a craving for a certain junk food item, but it's not entirely your craving. It's your gut bacteria, which is actually craving a lot of the foods. Candida or different gut bacteria is in your gut, and it wants sugar, and it hijacks your brain into wanting that. So it's no different that you might think, oh yeah, I have my own free will, but the opinions, the finger wagging, and the unsolicited advice, it does sit in there. And no different than bacteria which hijacks your brain and wants sugar, it will hijack your free will and make you choose something that's inauthentic, eventually leading to resentment. So when you get very clear in your vision, the goals that align to that vision, the skill sets that align to those goals, and your values, then life becomes simple. And simplicity equals winning. It is a monk-like discipline to winning, monk-like focus to winning, monk-like simplicity to winning. But when your brain feels unclear, pulled around in a million directions like a puppet, like a people-pleasing puppet with strings attached to your back, pulled over here, distraction, pulled over here, inauthentic life, pulled over here, people-pleasing, that is the graveyard of your goals. That means your goals have been sabotaged because you're saying yes to everything. It is the graveyard of your goals because you become a people pleaser. It's the graveyard of your goals because you only have so much time and so much energy. So that time and energy needs to be focused on the right actions that you deem as important. It's the Pareto principle. Only 20% of the actions equals 80% of the results. It's the general, just the Pareto principle. It's a small minority of actions create a disproportionate level of results. So you have to focus in with all your energy and all your time and all your intensity, all your focus on the minority of actions that you deem as important to get the results that you deem as important, because those results will then compound into success and winning and your legacy. But you have to identify what that is. Otherwise, you're going to be spread too thin. You won't be able to focus in on the actions that are actually going to give you the disproportionate level of results, and you will simply be a people pleaser spread way too thin. So the bombardment of other people's minds into your mind can also be extremely, extremely subtle. It can be done with good intentions, but the road to hell was paved with good intentions. Maybe you have a close friend that's giving you advice on your vision, a mentor, your parents. They're doing it with good intentions. It seems good on the surface layer, but it may not be good for what's authentic to your life. It's all about getting clear on what your vision is, right? If you want to bake a cookie, everyone's going to give you their opinion on what the perfect cookie is going to be. Your cookie may be a basic chocolate chip cookie. You're like, I want that. But if it's a health nut, he's going to tell you, no, it should be gluten-free and have dark chocolate chips. You should bake a cookie, but put no eggs or milk in it. A person who would take a lot of cheat days, they'll tell you, hey, put M&Ms and Reese's Pieces in the cookie. Fatten it up, put butter in the cookie, put extra sugar on it. Everybody's cookie is different. You have to ask yourself, what is my cookie? What is my life? What is the clarity for my life? What is the clarity for my vision? Not having a clear vision means you're more susceptible to the external influences. Other people's minds get bombarded into your minds because you don't have clear values, you don't have a clear vision. And what does this lead to? It leads to you spreading yourself too thin, losing energy, time, focus, and then you don't trust yourself because you're not getting the results that you want to be getting. You're getting results for other people. You begin lacking self-trust, lacking an authentic sense of self. Your sense of self basically dies, and you fully become that people-pleasing puppet pulled around in a million directions. Chapter 2 is all about how we get caught up in a spider's web of saying yes to everything. We say yes to babysitting some kids, yes to that errand, yes to that favor, yes to lending someone money, yes to that new hobby that you don't really want to do, yes to that ski trip, yes to anything your friends spontaneously want to do. Yes, yes, yes. Yes to your mommy and daddy. Yes to your wife's every whim. And you keep saying yes and yes and yes and yes. Have you ever audited what the quality of what you're saying yes to actually is? If it's not a 10 out of 10 quality thing that you're saying yes to, it's a 0. If it's not 10 out of 10 aligned to your vision, it's a 0. So let's do a quick exercise. Write down all the things that you've been saying yes to recently. And I want you to put down a number out of 10 next to all these items. Everything that you've been engaging with people, with your friends, with your family, hobbies, whatever. If it's not a 10 out of 10, I want you to exit out and never think about it ever again. So the first prescription is to treat your work sessions like a professional appointment. So if you had a dental appointment, for instance, and someone said, hey, come golfing. I want to go golfing with you. Come golfing. You have to come golfing. You'd very clearly be able to say, hey, well, I have a dentist appointment. I won't be able to make it at that time. And boom, done. You don't go. But when you set aside a work session for yourself, a time block, okay, from 1 p.m. till 6 p.m., I'm going to work. That is like a dental appointment by a way of looking at it. It's an appointment with yourself. But what happens when someone asks you to go golfing? You go golfing with them anyway. You say yes. You feel guilty. You feel shame. You say yes. And what does this lead to? It leads to resentment. But what's more important? A dental appointment or your work session? What's going to lead you to your vision? A dental appointment or your work session? How come you can say no to distraction when it comes to your dental appointment, but you can't say no when it comes to work that's actually going to help you accomplish your dreams? That's the question you have to ask yourself. So the thought of saying no to people, no to the people that are close to you especially, if that makes you feel guilty, if that makes you tremor and sweat like a pig, and you feel all kinds of guilt and shame about it, you have a hard time stepping out and being a people pleaser, if that makes you feel guilty, what I want to tell you is that it starts with your vision. The close people who are giving you advice, unsolicited advice, they are not in your shoes. Only you are in your shoes. So what does this mean? First of all, do an audit. Is the person who's giving me unsolicited advice, and this unsolicited advice is setting shop up in my head, is this person where I want to be? Do they have the results that I want? And if they don't, the answer is to cut loose. The answer, really, prescription number 2, is to start to cut loose from these individuals, because there's no such thing as banner blindness, meaning that if you're in Times Square and there's a billion different advertisements around you, they call that banner blindness. Oh, you're not really seeing every advertisement because there's so many advertisements coming after you. So many flashing lights, so much dopamine, so much stimulus. It's like you get blind to all the ads. But there's actually no such thing as banner blindness. Every advertisement you see stays in the subconscious. So this takes up mental bandwidth. It takes up mental bandwidth. So if you cut loose from the advertising, or you cut loose from these individuals who are constantly bombarding you with advice, especially if they're not where you want to be, you freed up a lot of mental bandwidth. But that's only one part of it. Because yes, you want to get rid of obviously negative people or negative influences or influences of other people who are not in alignment to your vision, not in alignment to your goals. But the other side of it is there are always going to be haters in life. There's always going to be people who disagree with your opinion, and you're going to sometimes hear very public opinions about what you do, or very public figure wagging about what you do, and it will start to set up shop in your head. So how do you prevent this? Well, first of all, realize that you really have to audit your conviction. If someone says you have green hair, it looks like puke, someone starts making fun of you for having green hair and you do not have green hair, you don't care at all. You don't take it personally. But when someone starts to question your vision or make fun of your vision or give unsolicited poor advice about your vision, and you're unable to block it out, you're unable to create a distinction between you and them, you're unable to create a boundary between you and them, you start getting stuck in your head about it. You start mentally negatively looping about it. You feel bad about it, and they have set up shop in your head. But here's the thing: if you don't have green hair and someone makes fun of you about it, you don't care. If someone makes fun of your vision and you actually are convicted about have conviction towards that vision, have crystal clear clarity about how you're going to accomplish that vision, you don't care at all either. So that's the mentality that you have to adopt. If someone makes fun of your vision, doesn't matter at all. You have a firm conviction in what you want to accomplish. The third prescription is to spend time in isolation. When you're all alone, without stimulus, without the constant bombardment of other people's minds, finger wagging, opinions, takes on what you should and shouldn't be doing, when you cut all that loose, and that means physically going away from people, going away from your phone. Maybe you sign up for a 10-day Vipassana retreat, and you even plug away from stimulus, you plug away from bad food, and you just sit with yourself. You'll listen to the inner voice. And when it gets unplugged, you get in touch with the inner voice. When you get in touch with the inner voice, what you authentically want to create or build, or what your vision is going to be, this deepens your conviction. And when your conviction is very, very deep, almost everything begins to look like a distraction. People will always try to get you on their selfish agenda. That is the hardwiring of the DNA, and that is the hardwiring of life itself. And if you drop sugar on the floor in your kitchen, the ants eat the sugar. Everything in life wants more energy, and people will always try to get more energy from you than you will from them. That's the DNA is selfish. It's always going to want energy. So if you're not careful, by default, you will end up on the menu of someone else's agenda and destroy your soul in the process. Let's go over some more reasons as to why you cannot say no. First one is you put the collective group's needs before your own needs as an individual. Next thing you do is you want a stamp of approval, your mommy to come with the gold sticker and stick it on your forehead and give you the stamp of approval for your vision and give you validation for your vision, that your vision is legit. Next is that you have an outcome dependence. You're needy for an outcome. And this causes you to accept bad terms, things you should have said no to. For example, let's say you have a business deal you want to get done and you're so needy for this deal. You have an outcome in your mind. You're looping on this outcome. You're outcome dependent. Well, then you're going to accept bad terms. You're not going to be able to say no to bad terms because you're too needy for an outcome. So next is you say yes to those around you. You give them the immediate yes, immediate gratification. You said yes to those around you, but you postponed your inner yes. You have a yes inside that you want to put for your goals, for your vision, And yeah, threw that into the future. Oh, someday in the future, I'll say yes to myself, to my goals, to my vision. But for now, I'm just gonna say yes to everybody else around me. So it's a twofold conclusion. We need 110% conviction in our inner yes, in ourself, and in our vision. But we also need to be comfortable with hurting the feelings of other people by saying no. Saying no inevitably means that your family members are gonna feel hurt, your friends are gonna feel hurt, you're not gonna be a great son, you're not gonna be a great friend, you're not gonna be a great brother, so on and so forth. But if you're unable to say no, you are nothing more than a people-pleasing peasant. A peasant. And a peasant can't say yes to their vision. A peasant can't draw a boundary and say no. A king has a vision. A king is able to say no. And if you're unable to say no, this is one of the lowest level problems you can ever have in life. It's such a low paradigm. So it's literally just step one in a 10,000 step journey. I have a mentor I know who wingsuit skydives, travels the world full time. He makes $55 million a year and he's in his early 30s. And this individual lives an incredibly abundant life, very adventurous life. He says no more than anybody I know. Try to get his time? No. For me to even get him as a mentor was like pulling teeth. It was quite a process. And everybody who wants even a little bit of this man's time is met with no, because he knows what he values at a 10 out of 10 level, and everything else is a 0 out of 10 in his eyes. He really lives by that essentialist mindset. When you say no, and you say no to other people, and you say yes to yourself, this is a form of death. It feels like a form of death because you're killing the people-pleasing self. You're killing the inner yes man that is in you, and you're forming something new. And when you kill that inner yes man, your subconscious is starting to freak out because it wants to know its position in the tribe, and you're basically saying no to the tribe. So evolutionarily, it's crossing your wires a little bit to say no. That's why it feels horrible to say no. You don't want to say no to people who are in your tribe. But you have a choice to make. It's going to be either the death of the people pleaser in you that says yes to everybody, the death of the inner yes man, or it's the death of your dreams. So that's what I'll leave you guys off with, and I'll see you guys in the next video.